So here we are on a white car. Yes, it is going into the body shop, which is why I can use it for a video, because I can do pretty much anything I want because it's going to be all redone. Here we have what is commonly referred to as swirl marks. Most people do not know how to look at paint and interpret what is going on. Good paint, bad paint, what does that even mean? Swirl marks, spider webbing, cobwebbing, what is this called? Can people even identify what this is when they're looking at their car? Now, white is especially tricky because it reflects so much light. It's actually hard to look at in direct sunlight, but this is one of the few areas that this type of effect, generally referred to as spider webbing, will show up is in direct sunlight. Now, just to clarify, the only reason you're getting this effect called spider webbing, which is an incorrect term in the professional world, is because there's scratches on the car paint. But if you pull back, and this is how most people look at their car and say, oh yeah, that car's in pretty good shape, minus the obvious damage to the car. Pretend for a moment that there was no physical damage. You're just looking at the paint. So they would say, oh yeah, that's in pretty good shape. It's like, oh yeah? Is that paint shiny? Yeah, it looks pretty shiny. I mean, I can barely look at it. Well, you can barely look at it because it's got so much glare because I'm in direct sunlight. But what I want to know is, can you scrutinize this? And this is where I decided to label this video, "You don't know how ignorant you really are." And that is not to disparage you, that is really to create an emotional reaction. Because paint, when done properly, and by done I mean polished, cared for, you should see none of this effect. All you should see is a circle, a reflection of the sun itself. And to educate you a little bit, the reason you're getting this pattern called swirl marks is because the sun itself is circular. So the light source, based on the shape, will determine how this pattern is created. So these scratches are not actually swirled or circular. They're endless scratches that go in endless directions. It only manifests itself in a circular pattern because the sun itself is circular. But the real goal of this video is to show you what good paint, as in what corrected paint, should look like as compared to traditional paint that people do not understand can look so much better. Swirl marks are a byproduct of scratches, micro scratches. So not all scratches are created equal. The accepted rule is, if you want to eliminate scratches, eliminate swirl marks, you need to polish. But not all polishes are created equal. Some polishes are purely chemical, some polishes are chemical and abrasives. To fix swirl marks at a permanent level, you will need an abrasive product in the form of a compound or a polish. I'm going to be using the industry's original single product polish for this demonstration, called ceramics. What I want to do is, because I want a 50-50 shot, because I will pull this back into the shade and show you a sharp contrast between here and there. Polish. This is my Max Shine 15 millimeter. That defines how wide that throw is. Not the spinning, but the throw, the circular throw. I'm gonna dial this to a setting of 5. You can verify that. This has already been decontaminated. I use the clay bar to make this super smooth, remove any bonded contaminants, and I'm good to go. See the sun? What I really want to do is highlight it whilst I'm working. So once again, people would pull back, minus the body damage. They'd be like, oh yeah, that car's in great shape. And I'd say, like, Not even close, bud. So here's my repeat application of polish. I'm gonna be really focused on this area right here to try to capture the work in progress as I'm working. So to reduce the splatter, what I will do is kind of just, before I turn the buffer on, this is how I just kind of spread it out if I'm really trying to contain my work. Now for a little context, I would say that I'm applying medium to heavy pressure on the buffer, because honestly this paint is so unacceptable in my world, and I accept that most people would be like, oh wow, looks pretty okay to me, Darren. Well, my eye is very discerning. That's a byproduct of being a detailer for the past 30 plus years. Point being is that if I wanted to speed this up, I could finesse the moment in a few ways. I could switch to a rotary polisher because that will produce more friction. I could switch to a more aggressive polishing pad that produces a more aggressive cut, as they would call it. A different type of friction would be produced by the rotary polisher when compared to the dual action. There's a lot of ways that I can control, finesse, manipulate this moment to produce desired results. Now, something that is very important is for you to know, if you're a beginner, that you have a finite thickness of clear coat. Clear coat is good. And yes, your car will have it. There's very few exceptions. Probably the biggest thing that clear coat does for your car is it provides UV protection. It is the best UV protection that you're gonna get. Part of that equation is the actual thickness, which means the thicker, the better. So yes, sometimes size does matter. And in this moment, when I'm referring to size, I'm referring to thickness of your clear coat. So if you accept that we, as in me, in this moment, I'm using abrasives to scratch my way to success, I will be naturally thinning out that clear coat thinner and thinner the more I chase perfection, which is why this comes to the proverbial trade-off. Everything in life has trade-offs, cost-benefit analysis. You can't really make an informed decision if you don't know the cost-benefit analysis. So the benefit that we're chasing is perfected paint that has better reflective qualities so we don't get that swirled mark pattern. That's the benefit we're chasing, but the cost will be your time, labor, products, machine. But the hidden cost, or the soft cost, would be thinning out your clear coat, which would more precisely be thinning out the protection. To be even more precise, it would be thinning out the UV protection of your car. So I'm gonna come in, and this will be officially my second application. Once again, unceremoniously applying the polish. And I'm going to focus on this section here and leave that and film this section from a different angle. Let's give her a wipe. Now I know, because I am putting my readers on, and that's one of my little tricks, is if I can magnify the moment with glasses and I can nail it. Sorry, I actually forgot to adjust my camera where I'm looking. I become so fixated. So here we have the sun right there, right there. There we have the sun, and that will expose either that swirl mark effect or the absence of that swirl mark effect. What it will be showing right now is a highly diminished swirl mark effect, which is now educating your eye, developing your eye as to, wow, look how much better the paint can be from here compared to over here, where I have not touched the paint yet. What I want to do now is focus on this area And I'm really gonna lay into this with a little more pressure, but what I mean by laying into it is longer duration. One of the many things that you control when polishing. But bam, and now I'm gonna be focused. Now, the reality is that this paint is so scratched up and damaged up, I actually could go through the clear coat in trying to remove every last blemish or flaw in the paint. I don't know how deep those individual scratches are. So you have a difference between what's called RIDs, random, isolated, deeper scratches that are different than an overall scratch pattern, which we interpret or call swirl marks. That's different. So if I was chasing, trying to dig out, that's what we call it in the industry, is I'm gonna dig out a scratch. Now that scratch could be deeper than the thickness of the clear coat. Once I go through that clear coat, as in polish through it, it will change the color of the white. There's no reversing that. Not only did I destroy the clear coat, period, but it changes the color. So there's no way to camouflage that at that point. But I will persist because I know I can continue to polish. So let's just take a peek under this before I pull it. And I wanted to, I'll be able to see the line. I'm just gonna reapply that so I don't lose track of my line. Put on my readers so I can really see that line of demarcation, which is right here. So if I scan to the right, you can see the spider webbing. So yes, there's actually two lines because the tape, it's almost like the tape aids in cleaning the paint even more. Doesn't really make sense, but that's what you're observing. So we've got before, we've got the taped area, which then transitions into the more refined area. But my eye can tell that that paint is still far from perfect. So I'm trying to get it right on the line so you can see. I can get up really close and capture that, and then I'll pull it in the shade and show you some more polishing. Okay, so always check the links below. It will take you to one of my websites where I discuss in greater detail any given subject that we've covered today. What is clear coat? What does clear coat do? Polishing clear coat, restoring clear coat, those types of things. I will reference the videos that I shot regarding waterborne technology, those types of things. Check the links below. With that, we will see you on the next video.